Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good day and welcome to the show. Today is Friday the 31st of July, 2020. Glad to have you guys here. Now, you know what? I remember when this coronavirus thing was over in China and it's just in China. It wasn't in the North American. I remember how they were standing up there saying, "Oh, we're ready. We're ready for this." They've mismanaged this whole thing right down to this point. And it's their fault. Everything that's happened and transpires has been the government's fault. All the way along. It's this present government has been. I'm going to tell you what. I do not have any faith in governments. Period. I don't know what the solution is, but they've caused this problem for the everyday guy. Guys like me. Guys like you that's watching my show. My audience is mostly people like myself, And we're suffering through this thing, and they all said, "Oh, we're ready, we're ready, we're ready." And then they come in with all this thing where they made us all stay home, and everybody had to stay home from their workplace and everything else. And of course we're going to lose our jobs if we can't go to work. I'm telling you, the situation is deteriorated to the point, and now the responsible thing, are they going to do the responsible thing? The responsible thing now at this point, we got 52 million people that are facing eviction. The responsible thing is, instead of bailing out Wall Street for the fifth time, it would only take a quarter of that amount of money to pay everybody's mortgage, to pay everybody's rent. Pay it. The government pay it directly to the mortgage company or the apartment building owner or whatever. Pay it. The government pay it. That's the responsible thing to do, to keep a roof over our heads. Are they going to do the responsible thing? And the next responsible thing for them to do is send out another round of $1,200 checks to everybody, and every month to keep it coming. This is the responsible thing, because they've created a mess, and this is the solution. The solution is for them to be responsible for the mess that they created. If you had a child and he comes through the living room and he spilled his beans all over the floor, you would expect him to sweep it up. That's the responsible thing to do. What we need is responsible government for a change. The people are suffering, and what's going to happen is people are going to be put out on the street. Now, what's going to happen next after that? Well, some of these people will find their way into some sort of lodging. They might move in with other family or whatever, but there's going to be a lot of these people who aren't going to have any access to other lodging, and they're going to end up in shelters and camps, maybe. I don't know. Maybe we'll call it Trumpville. I mean, that's what we did during the Great Depression. We called them Hooverville. They're doing the same thing to us all over again, and the Fed's at the center of this. The Fed was at the center of this back in the 1930s. The same darn thing. And we let them get away with it, making us suffer. We shouldn't have to suffer. The people of the country should have a responsible government where we do not have to suffer, because we are the silent majority. We're like that, if a husband has a wife and she's very quietly, works around the house all the time, never makes any noise, never growls him, never does anything, and she just constantly cooks and cleans and everything else year after year after year, she expects him to hold up his end of the bargain. To be responsible too. Not to go out drinking and carousing and everything else. And that's the way with us, the people. We're responsible. Why can't our government be responsible? Anyway, listen, I've rattled on enough. It's time to get right in there and take a look at the markets today. Let's open up the charts right here, and let's take a look at the silver price. It's 57 cents up. But it's actually not really up at all because it fell 57 cents. So it's basically just riding in a range somewhere between $23 and $25. And it's right in the middle of that range right now at $24. We've seen quite a little big boost in the price of silver quite recently, and the same thing with gold. Now what it's doing is it's establishing itself in these new price ranges for gold and silver. Let's take a look at gold today. $1,969. It's up $12.10 on the day. It's a little bit on the high side of its range, where silver's in the middle of its range. I'm going to tell you what. You know why gold is maintaining these high ratio value against silver, why it's being able to maintain it? Is because the first instinct of investors out there is the first thing they think of when they think of safe haven asset. And in troubled times, they think of gold. They don't think of silver. They think of gold. And they buy gold. And they got the money to buy gold. But for them, it's not a big deal. It's more of a big deal for the average guy out there who can't afford to buy gold. He can still afford to buy silver. So that's why most of the big silver buyers are people at average Joes. They make up an army, though, and they're able to buy a lot of silver and put it away because there's just so many of them. There's so many people. They're the silent majority. You got the 1%er out there that holds 99% of the wealth, and then you got the 99% who hold 1% of the wealth. That's upside down. The world's upside down right now. It can't stay this way, but it's getting worse. It's moving more in the direction toward the 99%. That's not natural. It shouldn't be happening that way. We should have an even distribution of wealth through society and a vibrant, healthy middle class. And they're destroying the middle class. And this is not going to last. It's a short period in history, and it's connected directly into this paper monetary Ponzi scheme that's about ready to come crashing down. It's going to come crashing down, and it's going to have a tremendous cost on humanity when it crashes. And that's what we're in the middle of right now, is a crashing paper monetary Ponzi scheme that they started back when they opened up the Federal Reserve, which is probably the worst moment in the human history, was the day that they approved the Federal Reserve as part of the day they snuck the papers through and they signed them was the biggest, most infamous. It was a worse day for humanity than there ever was. It's honest to gosh. Cryptocurrency today. $335 billion, 62% Bitcoin dominance, and we're looking at a Bitcoin price of $11,414.60. So Bitcoin is maintaining its price above $11,000 quite nicely. I'm going to tell you what. I would say that there's going to be a wealth transfer into gold and silver of all of the world's assets, because the paper fiat monetary Ponzi scheme is going to collapse. But there's a problem for gold and silver. They're limited in supply in the real physical metals. And so the first instinct, like I say, of investors is to run to gold. When the storm clouds come and everything really starts to collapse, and it's going to, they're going to run to gold. But gold's biggest fault is the fact that it exists in the real world. That's going to be its biggest downfall to becoming the ultimate store of value of everything transferring into gold, is the fact that gold exists in the real world. You can actually hold it in your hand. That's a fault in the modern day society. The society that's built now on intangible assets. That becomes a fault. It becomes a limitation. And so what will happen is they'll buy it all up. And you won't be able to buy it anymore, and there will still be floods and floods and floods and floods of money. There will still be dams full of money that's ready to break and wash down money on everyone. I mean fiat currency on everyone. Just wash tons of it, more than there are leaves on the trees out there. And all the gold will all be snatched up already. So the price will go up on gold because There won't be any to buy. Same with silver. But that limitation is going to mean that then they're going to have to move into something else. Some other asset class that's divested from the dollar. And you know what stands right out to me is cryptocurrency. So then the money will pour into crypto. And in the end, what's going to happen is all of the money, all the fiat currency is going to be absorbed by these non-fiat asset classes. Cryptocurrency, gold and silver. All of the world's money will be absorbed into it in the end. It's going to cause a tremendous upheaval, this switching over, a tremendous transfer of wealth like never been seen before in the history of the world. And the upheaval is going to be so great, it's going to be absolutely ridiculous when it happens. And, I can't see any other way out. This is going to have to happen at a certain point because these things that just keep going up in value, gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, while the fiat currencies are constantly losing their purchasing power. And how long is it going to take before people suddenly, it dawns on them, I should have been in Bitcoin, or I should have been in gold. I would have been okay now. And then they say, well, it's never too late, and they all start to run out and buy it, the whole works of them. And then it really starts to move, and this thing really starts to become more than noticeable to everyone. And it's just going to be a mass frenzy, a quick run to the gate to try to get out. But, the door's going to slam shut on them. Let's take a look now at the Dow Jones, and it's fell off 254 points today, 26,058. I think this is just the beginning of the decline. I think we're going to see thousands of points drops coming up because the economy is just slowly but surely dying with a depressing virus that just keeps pushing everything down the hill, and more jobs are being lost every day, and more people are becoming dependent upon the system every day, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And there's no real, we can't really see the end of the tunnel yet, light at the end of the tunnel yet in this thing. So, the market has been holding up till now, but it's starting to tip down now, And unless the Fed supports the market, there is no bottom. It'll go no bid unless the Fed comes in with support. Take a look at the crude oil, $39.78. Well, there will be a bid. If the Fed didn't support the market, there would be a bid. But it's way down there so far we can't see it, even with binoculars. Bonds and rates today. We're looking at the U.S. 10-year at 0.54 and the U.S. 30-year at 1.21. And we're looking at rising yields a little bit on the long end. 1.6 basis points on the 30-year and 0.7 basis points on the U.S. 10-year. Let's take a look at the dollar. Dollar's rising today, by the way. We got a rising dollar today. But it's being compared against the euro, which they just printed another $2 trillion worth of euros. So the dollar index is actually based on nonsense. Comparing it to other fiat currencies is nonsense. It should be compared to the dollar index should be based on gold. Seriously. Thank you guys for listening to my report. Like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. We'll catch you guys on the very next show. Bye-bye.